This is Wednesday, April 10th. It is a little after 12 noon. It's 12:07 Central Time. And considering the fact that we have parts of Mobile and Baldwin counties under a tornado warning, I thought we'd go live for a little bit and kind of walk people through this that are in the far southwestern corner of Alabama. Here's a look at the tornado warning polygon. And you can see this does include the city of Mobile. The polygon outlined there in red. The tornado warning in effect for central Mobile County and west central Baldwin County until 12:30 this afternoon. And again, the part of the line segment that could possibly produce a tornado is really fairly close to the airport, moving northeast at 50 miles an hour. It's moving very quickly, so let's get in here and take a look at a side-by-side view and check the velocity. And at the moment, the velocity couplet is relatively broad. This is not the tightest circulation that you will see on radar, but earlier it looked a little better. And again, that broad circulation within the line is coming up on Mobile. But again, the bottom line is, even though it's fairly broad at this point, the object of the game is to certainly respect the polygon and to be in a safe place. And again, we stress for those of you that are in southwest Alabama, in fact, let me kind of expand the view out a little bit here. We do have other severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for parts of basically all of Mobile, parts of Washington, parts of Baldwin counties. But the only tornado warning polygon, it's the one that's coming into the western part of Mobile. So if you're in, for example, Dauphin Island, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, there's no tornado warnings in effect there. This is for that red polygon on that map for parts of the city of Mobile back up toward Chickasaw and Saraland that's in effect until 12:30 this afternoon. And again, this line segment has had a history of producing some problems. We've had tornado damage around Slidell, Louisiana. We've had wind damage with this. Thankfully, the trend has been for it to weaken, but there's clearly a little MCV, a mesoscale convective vortex, that's spinning away just north of that tornado warning polygon. You can see the swirl and the radar echoes. And occasionally with an MCV like that, you will have these spin-up tornadoes. And this is not most likely going to be some large, long-lasting tornado. These are really, really hard to deal with. We talk about this all the time in that these things are a challenge, and sometimes they'll get down for a few minutes and they go away. And trying to warn for them, it's just very hard to do. So again, if you're just joining us here, it's 12:10, and we have a tornado warning in effect for parts of Mobile and extreme western Baldwin counties down in southwest Alabama. And let me just say, we don't expect any severe problems for the northern half of the state. We'll take a look at that situation here in a moment. But again, we'll take a look at the velocity display, and it's just fairly broad at this point. In fact, here's a look at storm relative velocity. And again, you can see evidence where we got perhaps of circulation here. And again, this will be coming up toward Pritchard, Chickasaw. This downtown Mobile is in the polygon. Then ultimately crossing the Mobile Delta into that western part of Baldwin County. And the part of Baldwin County that's involved in this tornado warning is north of Interstate 10, north of Spanish Fort. It does not include Bay Minette. And again, we'll just kind of see how the whole thing behaves itself. But again, the rotation, thankfully, is relatively broad at this point. And it's not screaming tornado, but still, it could recycle again. And these same thunderstorms have produced some hail. That's the main damage, or not damage, but the main reports we have seen from Baldwin and Mobile counties. This was taken in Fort Morgan about 15 minutes ago, and we've got hail falling there. This is probably about maybe 1/2 inch in diameter. Smaller hail, but still, that's a sign of what's happening down there. Here's some of the hail falling at Magnolia Springs. And again, you can see it's not quite at the severe limit. The severe criteria is 1 inch diameter hail. We're getting reports of pea-sized hail from West Mobile Baptist Church. But again, I've had no reports of any damage from Alabama. So again, this is the velocity display. We have a tornado warning in effect now for the city of Mobile, for this segment of the line that is pushing through the downtown Mobile area and points north up Highway 43 up toward Pritchard and Saraland. And again, you can see that Saraland marks the northern fringe of the tornado warning polygon. It does not include Satsuma. Satsuma is not in this polygon. And understand, everybody is going to have rain and storms in southwest Alabama. We're trying to find areas where there could be some storm rotation in here. And again, this circulation went pretty close to the Mobile radar site out by the airport. And again, that's approaching Interstate 65 and US 43 and downtown Mobile. Let's go back to the broader view and kind of expand this out. And again, you can see that line segment stretches up and down all the way through Mobile County. And there are other storms moving through Baldwin County as well in advance of the main line. And we'll be watching it. This is a very dynamic weather system, but we're very, very thankful that the instability values are limited. There's a little bit there. But again, that hopefully will mitigate the chance of a major tornado problem here. But understand, far south Alabama will have the chance of severe storms as this big MCS, mesoscale convective system, comes on through here. All of Mobile County, parts of southern Washington County. It looks like the Washington County segment is still okay, still there. We still got a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for parts of southern Washington, all of Mobile, pretty good chunk of Baldwin County. In fact, the new warning has just been posted here. This is a new severe thunderstorm warning. This will include parts of Escambia County, Florida, as the line segment comes on through. And obviously, with the line segment passing through a very densely populated part of the state, the city of Mobile, we'll know pretty quickly if we have some damage here. And again, so far, all of the videos and images that I'm seeing here, it's related to hail and not from wind damage, thankfully, which is a good thing. This line will continue pushing through the Florida Panhandle over the next several hours. And again, within that line, there could be some bowing segments like that with strong straight line winds and also the chance of a few isolated tornadoes. Traditionally, within a QLCS like that, a quasi-linear convective system, you don't have the really big, long-lasting tornadoes. But listen, if one gets down in your neighborhood for 10, 15 minutes, it's a big deal, for sure. So again, there's a broad look at this. And if you're just joining us, we're going to sit here for just a little bit, kind of walk you through this down in South Alabama. And starting to see more videos coming in here. I'll drop one in. This is some, looks like this is some more hail video that came in. This is going to be from, again, the storm complex within that line. The specific hail video is from Fort Morgan. And again, we've just had a lot of that today. Again, here's some more video from Fort Morgan. This is hail, and thankfully, I've just not seen any wind damage reports. There could be some, we just don't know about it. And again, thankfully, that rotational signature on radar is pretty broad at this point. So let's go back, and I do want to expand this out. We get a lot of questions around the rest of the state here. So before we show the big picture, let's take a look at the velocity display one more time. And again, we've seen from time to time evidence of what could be a small tornado in this segment of this line from downtown Mobile up through Pritchard and Chickasaw. But again, it just doesn't look at this moment like we have a tornado down. One probably was down for a brief moment earlier. Another one could form. And again, the tornado warning polygon is in effect for that part of Mobile County and extreme western Baldwin County. And again, the polygon for Baldwin County basically is for the Mobile Delta and a small part of Baldwin County north of Spanish Fort and south of Stockton. But again, I probably would not want to be driving through this, obviously. The one thing we don't want folks to do is to be in a car. The worst possible place, of course, is a car or a mobile home. But again, you can see that the tornado warning polygon there is basically across the Mobile Delta and then to extreme small part of western Baldwin County. This does not include Bay Minette, does not include Spanish Fort. In fact, again, it doesn't include Fairhope or Daphne, the eastern shore. It's basically for the Delta. Once that thing comes out of Mobile. And thankfully, we're just not seeing, at this point, reports of damage. And with this coming through the city of Mobile, I think we know about that. So there's kind of a broader view. And you can see this MCS, mesoscale convective system, big rain mass with embedded strong storms coming through Mobile and Baldwin counties down in southwest Alabama. Concerning the rest of the state, again, there's technically a tornado watch as far north as Sumter and Marengo counties, but the odds of any severe weather that far north are very, very low. The main concern, it's going to be really the area along and south of US 84. That's south of a line from Grove Hill to Monroeville over to Dothan for the rest of the afternoon. That's where there's going to be some surface-based instability. But again, with a big rain mass like this, we just don't expect any severe weather problems for the northern half of the state. The rain is coming into Tuscaloosa. And understand the rain will come down. It's going to be a soaker. Again, you're going to have some thunder and some lightning. But again, it's a stable air mass, outflow dominant. There's just no sign of any severe weather problems for the northern half of the state. But as always, I say this all the time, even though conditions just don't favor any severe storms for North Alabama, we'll keep a close eye on this. This is April 10th. This is a key time in the tornado season here, so something to watch. But again, if you're in Montgomery, Birmingham, Anniston, Gadsden, Huntsville, the Shoals, the chance of any severe storms in that part of the state, very, very low. It's not zero, but it's low. The one issue is gradient wind. Gradient winds, not related to storms, maybe gusting as high as 35 miles per hour in spots. And also on the back edge of this big rain mass, we'll have to watch for the possibility of a wake low. Wake low events can produce some pretty strong winds. They can gust up to 40, maybe 50 miles an hour. No evidence of that right now, but that's not totally out of the question. But that's non-thunderstorm winds. So again, for North Alabama, just breezy and wet. This is the problem area down here in the southwestern corner of the state and ultimately the Florida Panhandle. So it is now 12:19. And we are live watching a line of severe storms coming right into downtown Mobile. It's come on through the USA campus. In fact, I was there this past Friday and Saturday at their CCAPS weather conference. Great time. Love visiting USA and their meteorology program there. It's come on past the airport, coming into downtown Mobile, Pritchard, Chickasaw, Saraland. That's the US 43 corridor. And again, that's the reflectivity. We'll take a look at the velocity. And again, no doubt the winds are strong, but there's just not overwhelming evidence of a tornado at this point. So I honestly don't think this will be extended if the radar signature continues to look like that. And again, we're watching multiple sources here, watching social media. And the way it works, if there's something going on there, social media here will light up like a Christmas tree. And again, things are quiet on the social side and not seeing much coming off the Weather Service chat session. That's the one thing we also are on. We're on Weather Service chat sessions with all the different offices, including Mobile. So, again, if you're going to watch a spot, it's going to be this spot right in through here, again, north of downtown Mobile. But again, that's not really a strong tornado signature. That's just some broad rotation at this point. And hopefully, once the line gets out of this polygon, the Weather Service in Mobile will cancel it, and they will just move on to severe thunderstorm warnings. But understand, again, as the afternoon progresses, there could be additional areas of rotation here. And there's a tornado watch in effect for southwest Alabama. We should mention that. So again, that's kind of the big view. Severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Mobile County, for areas along and east of the line. Severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for a large part of Baldwin County and for a small part of Escambia County, Florida, the far northwestern part of Escambia County, Florida. And again, if you're up in Washington, Monroe, Escambia counties, Alabama, Conecuh County, you got rain, thunder, and lightning, but no evidence of any high wind or problems that far north. And it just looks like the main severe weather threat will be confined, again, to the Mobile, Baldwin counties, and especially the Florida Panhandle, that Interstate 10 corridor. And we'll be watching those cells coming in from the Gulf of Mexico to see if those try and rotate. But again, so far that has not been the case. And again, just about everything we're seeing here, it involves hail in terms of reports, and mostly under severe criteria, which is a good thing. And again, we're just thankful that we just don't have a lot of surface-based instability down here. If the air was more unstable, it could be a more potent threat. But again, the reason we're here at 12:22, it's a tornado warning for now a small part of Mobile and Baldwin counties. And again, basically, it's Mobile Bay, that area just north of the causeway. And again, we'll stop it, take a look at the velocity, see if anything has changed here, and not really. That's a sign of strong winds, no doubt about that. We've got very strong gusty winds with this line. And again, if you're going to look for that spot that kind of prompted the tornado warning, it's this spot right here that's coming out over the Delta now, east of US 43. And we'll keep an eye on that. If that manages to re-intensify, that would affect northern Baldwin County, ultimately maybe places like Bay Minette. But again, we'll just see. Again, that's just not your classic tornadic look at this point, but there's clearly a kink in the line and evidence of maybe something going on there. But for the rest of it, it's just windy, wet, loud, some hail involved in this. But again, so far the hail has been relatively small, thank goodness, generally under severe criteria. So again, so far so good. A lot of questions from people that are on the beach. Navarre, Destin, Fort Walton, over toward Panama City Beach. And obviously this line's going to be coming through the entire Gulf Coast region for the rest of the afternoon, really. And again, it's going to be just like this. As the line passes, you'll have strong gusty winds, maybe in some spots damaging winds. There could be an isolated tornado, possibly. That's clearly a possibility with the dynamics in play in the wind fields. Heavy rain. There could be some isolated flooding problems. And again, that'll be sweeping pretty quickly onto the east. And again, I just don't know if the air can recover from this for an additional round of storms later this evening or tonight. It's not totally out of the question, but not especially likely. The air is really getting worked over by this. But again, the Bow Echo is it's come on through downtown Mobile. It's approaching the bay. That'll be crossing over onto the eastern shore. If you're in Fairhope, Daphne, Point Clear, Spanish Fort, that line is approaching you. And with that line, you can expect some strong straight-line winds. The winds could possibly gust in excess of 50 miles per hour. Also, the chance of some mostly small hail. We've had a lot of that. We've seen a lot of videos and images of that. And, of course, heavy rain, maybe some flooding potential. And, again, we're just kind of watching the line for any potential for isolated tornadoes. And, again, the reason we're here, it's this tornado warning polygon right here. And, again, that kink in the line is now well to the north of downtown Mobile. In fact, I think we can safely give an all clear in terms of the tornado danger from Mobile. Obviously, it's pouring rain, thunder, lightning, but in terms of the severe wind and the tornado threat for downtown Mobile, it's ended and points west. The greatest concern of an isolated tornado within the line is north of downtown Mobile, especially up towards Saraland, and it's going to be crossing the Delta, the Mobile Delta. But again, the rest of that line, as you can see, it's coming right up on the eastern shore, approaching Spanish Fort, Daphne, Fairhope, Point Clear. And again, that'll be crossing through Baldwin County. And ultimately, of course, the line is coming through Dauphin Island now. Next up will be Fort Morgan, and then ultimately Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, over toward Pensacola. And I've not really seen within the line any damage so far. And just got a report of a 55-mile-per-hour wind gust at Brickley Field in Mobile. So, again, that's kind of representative of the type winds we're getting here. So, again, 55 miles per hour, 48 knots at Brickley Field in Mobile with the line. And that will keep on trucking to the east for the afternoon. So we're not going to stay here for a long, long time. Again, for those that don't know, I have other duties in addition to this on the television side we have to take care of. But we're here for a tornado warning that's in effect for areas north of Mobile with this line of severe storms passing through. And obviously the main threat here is from strong straight-line winds that could easily gust 55, 60 miles per hour. And again, we just had a verified wind gust of 55 at Brickley Field in Mobile. And that'll be coming onto the eastern shore. It's basically coming into Spanish Fort now, and Daphne and Fairhope. And ultimately, That line will be coming on through Fort Morgan and Gulf Shores and Orange Beach in Baldwin County, and ultimately Bay Minette, Robertsdale, Summerdale, Foley, all those communities along Highway 59. But again, the good news, we're just not seeing any strong evidence of a tornado here. Wind, absolutely. That's a great wind signature right there, but that's not really a tornado signature. So I would imagine here in 3 minutes, the tornado warning will expire and will not be extended. And we will be going with severe thunderstorm warnings for now. But could there be an additional tornado warning? Sure. Again, the synoptic scale supports severe weather. But again, thankfully, like we've talked about, the instability values, the warm sector is just not that high quality for severe storms today. The dynamics, great. Thermodynamics, not so great. And but again, clearly, if you are in the Florida Panhandle, in extreme South Alabama, places like Atmore and Bruton, Florala, Geneva, Dothan, just kind of keep a close eye on this and be weather aware today. Best case scenario for South Alabama, you just get away with a lot of rain and wind. But on the other hand, there could be an isolated tornado. And again, we stress if you're in the northern half of the state, we just don't expect any severe storms. Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, really Montgomery, Huntsville, the Shoals, that northern two-thirds of the state, because the air is just going to be rain-cooled and stable. It's all outflow dominant. And I do know that there's been some very inconsistent messaging across the professional weather enterprise. And we got to fix that. We need to work on that, where there's some disagreements between national centers and local offices and private sector meteorologists in a case like this. And we have to be better at that. It is confusing to the public, but again, it is my job to be a straight shooter. My job is to serve the public. That's why I'm here. And as you know, across social media, there is so much fear-mongering, and we saw it with this event today. And, we got to stop the fear-mongering, but at the same time, be on the same page, and hopefully we can work through this between those with NOAA, the Weather Service, and the private sector. We can do better. But again, until we can do better on that coordination, I've got to be honest. Again, I'm a straight shooter, good, bad, whatever. And again, for the northern half of the state, we're just not concerned about severe storms. But as always, we'll watch things carefully. So let's see, 1 second, boom, it's gone. All right, so the tornado warning is off the board. It has been expired. The band of severe storms is coming into Spanish Fort and Daphne. It'll be in Fairhope in a minute. Point Clear. The Grand Hotel is coming into Fort Morgan. Ultimately, the line is going to come on into Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, the Highway 59 corridor, Foley, Summerdale, Robertsdale, Loxley, Stapleton, Bay Minette. And really, again, we've had a wind gust of 55 at Brookley Field, 55 miles per hour. Even that is a little below severe limits. Keep in mind, to be severe, technically you need winds of 58 miles per hour or higher for a warning to verify. And the hail has been relatively small. We've had hail, yes, but again, the hail has been not especially large. It's been under 1 inch, I'll put it that way. So again, the tornado warning is over. We have no tornado warnings on the board. There's no evidence of a tornado. When that warning was issued, it went away about as quickly as it was issued. And again, you can see clearly there's evidence of strong winds along that bow-shaped echo, straight line winds, but just no evidence of a tornado here. So again, the greatest concern for the rest of today and tonight areas along and south of US 84. So if you're in Dothan, Geneva, Florala, Bruton, Atmore, keep a close eye on this. And the Florida Panhandle, of course. Pensacola, Destin, Fort Walton Beach, Navarre, Panama City Beach. Keep an eye on this, and we'll watch those cells coming in off the Gulf of Mexico. But at the moment, there's no evidence of any storm-based rotation in through here. And quickly, let's check the look farther north. Again, just big old mass of rain. Just breezy, wet, some loud thunder involved, but there is nothing severe going on in Tuscaloosa, Fayette, Reform, Utah, Livingston, Demopolis. Sure, it's raining, pouring rain, but again, that's just a rain-cooled air mass, and this is not the kind of setup where you get tornadoes up and through here, which is a good thing. Let's go back over to the Jackson radar real quick. And the one thing we're going to watch on the back edge of this rain back in through here, any sign of a wake low that develops. And again, those can be kind of tricky to forecast, but sometimes on the back edge of this departing big rain mass like that, you can have a really tight pressure gradient that develops and the winds get really strong. Those wake lows can create winds of 50 mile per hour, 50, 55 miles per hour. And these are non-thunderstorm winds, nothing to do with severe storms. That's gradient winds. And we'll watch for evidence of that. And again, that's the one thing, if you're in North Alabama, you might deal with a wake low where the winds get strong. But again, that's not a severe thunderstorm. That's gradient wind. But we'll kind of watch for reports on the back edge of this. And again, it's been a pretty rough ride for New Orleans. We've had some reports of tornado damage around Slidell, Louisiana. And we've also, at one point, had a flash flood emergency. And it looks like that's still in effect. It's still pouring. I mean, just pouring in New Orleans. You can see the flash flood emergency. That is in effect until 2 o'clock. And the damage tag on this is catastrophic. And you don't want to see a catastrophic tag on that. But again, a flash flood emergency for the city of New Orleans. And obviously the rain continues to fall there. The risk of severe storms has ended, but that the flooding for them is certainly the main problem there. And again, from there, you can see that bow-shaped echo coming through Baldwin County. So let's go back to the Mobile radar. And our bow, if you will, moving on through northern Baldwin County now, over on the eastern side of Mobile Bay. The bow will be approaching Stapleton, Loxley, Bay Minette. And again, with a chance of some strong winds. So again, if you're in Bay Minette, point south along Highway 59, as the bow comes through, look out for winds that might hit 50, 55 miles per hour. For the city of Mobile, the risk of severe weather is ended. Your problem now, the chance of flooding as the rain continues to fall. But once this line passes, that pretty much ends the chance of any severe storms. The emphasis goes from the chance of severe storms back over toward flooding. And again, that will keep on moving to the east. And just be weather aware. So that's going to wrap it up. Again, I can't stay here for a super long time at this point because of other responsibilities, but we'll watch things carefully. And if need be, we'll come back and do another live stream here. So it's at 12:35. We're going to wrap this up. And I tell you what, before I go, let's drop in. Tell you what, I'll drop in a couple of things real quick. Maybe the significant tornado parameter. Well, I won't be able to do that. The bottom, again, everything confirms what we've said here. Looking at all the data, just the main concern for severe storms, extreme South Alabama near the Florida Panhandle and the Florida Panhandle itself. As the storms come through, the chance of strong winds, maybe an isolated tornado, and again, flooding a concern. There's a flash flood watch in effect for South Alabama as well. So that's it for now. We'll be back with the regular afternoon briefing at about 2:45 this afternoon. And again, if we need to come back with a live stream, we'll do that sooner than later. And we'll have new forecast notes over on the social platforms by 2:30 or 3 o'clock as well. So keep an eye on the weather if you're in extreme South Alabama and the Florida Panhandle. North Alabama, just breezy and wet this afternoon. We'll see you next about 2:40.